Alright, so apparently my last video about Mike's PhD wasn't detailed enough for you people. You wanted more. You wanted specifics. You wanted me to actually go through the dissertation and point out exactly how it is. And I'm sitting here thinking, why? Why am I doing this? Alright, views. Sweet, sweet, algorithm-pleasing views. You clicked on the first one, so here we are doing it again, because I'm a slave to the metrics just like everyone else. Solomon Nelson made an hour-long video forensically destroying this thesis, and I'm going to react to the best parts, because clearly none of you have the attention span to watch the full thing yourselves. You need me to hold your hand through it. So let's get into it. Here's where Mike's PhD goes from kind of bad to how did anyone approve this?
However, the core findings, that stronger athletes are more muscular and powerful, that more powerful athletes jump higher and sprint faster, and that leaner athletes perform better in these tasks, are not only unsurprising, but also extensively documented in prior research.
Hold on. Let me make sure I understand this correctly. Mike's groundbreaking PhD research discovered that strong people are strong, athletic people are athletic, lean people perform better than fat people. This is like getting a PhD in marine biology and your thesis is fish live in water? Revolutionary. Absolutely revolutionary. Someone get this man a Nobel Prize. The best part? Mike admits this throughout his own thesis. He keeps saying, this aligns with previous research, and this confirms existing findings. My guy, that's not a PhD. That's a book report. That's Wikipedia with extra steps. You're supposed to discover new shit, not just confirm that yes, indeed, being jacked makes you better at sports. We knew this. Ancient Greeks knew this. Cavemen knew this when they were choosing who got to hunt the mammoth.
But it gets even worse. In Table 4.6, 1/3 of the lowest performers was either older than age 41.2 or younger than -1.6, so they hadn't even been born.
I'm sorry, what? Mike had athletes in his study who were negative years old? He's out here studying fetuses competing in Division I volleyball. This is what happens when you copy-paste the mean values into the standard deviation column and just don't chuck, like at all, not once. And it gets better. Some of these athletes were apparently shorter than 0 centimeters. They were negative height. They had achieved what physics considers impossible. They were somehow shorter than not existing. Other athletes, according to his data, weighed less than 2 kilograms. That's like a 4-pound chihuahua. Mike had chihuahuas competing in college sports and nobody noticed. On the flip side, some athletes were apparently 3.49 meters tall. That's over 11 feet, taller than any human who's ever lived. But sure, seems legit. Probably just a really tall guy. This happened in 3 separate tables. He made the same catastrophic error 3 times and submitted it. His supervisor read it. Examiners read it. Everyone just went, yeah, that looks fine, and signed off.
Let's look at this equation. Skill 1 plus skill 2 plus skill 3 plus ellipsis plus skill n equals athletic performance magnitude. Mike asserts that skills sum to generate athletic performance. But why do they sum and not multiply or interact in complex ways? Mike doesn't say.
My ideal day, I would go down into my basement office and do deep work. Equations, systematizing things.
This equation is presented twice in the thesis without any justification. And worse, this is just a convoluted way of saying what Mike later admits on page 103. Sport performance depends on the athlete's ability to execute a combination of skills.
I love this so much. Mike put literal equations in his thesis to make it look scientific. Skill 1 plus skill 2 equals athletic performance. Groundbreaking mathematics right there. Why do they sum though? Why not multiply? Why not exponentially increase? Who knows? Mike certainly doesn't explain it. He just slaps it in there twice and hopes nobody asks questions. It's like if I wrote eating food plus drinking water plus sleeping equals being alive and expected a PhD for it. Yeah, no shit. That's not an equation, that's just listing things that contribute to an outcome. But he labels them theoretical variables. which sounds very scientific even though it adds literally nothing to the meaning. It's academic word salad designed to make simple concepts sound complicated. And my favorite part, he creates this whole equation framework and then never uses it for anything. It just sits there, doing nothing, taking up space, like decorative mathematics.
One of the sloppiest features of Mike's thesis is the rampant copy-pasting of entire sections across chapters, with identical errors left untouched. The methods section in chapters 4 and 5 are near verbatim clones of those in chapter 3, reproducing the exact same typos, the exact same formatting mistakes, and the exact same structural oversights, of which there are many, which is strong evidence that large portions of the thesis were duplicated wholesale without even a cursory proofread.
This man really just copy-pasted entire sections of his thesis without even reading them afterwards. The same typos appear in 3 different chapters, the same numbering errors, the same grammatical mistakes. He even copy-pasted a paragraph within the same page, just back to back, the exact same text twice in a row, like he hit Control-V by accident and then just left it there. This is what happens when you're writing a thesis the way college students write essays at 2 a.m. the night before they're due. Maximum efficiency, zero quality control. Middle thing pole instead of mid-thigh pole appears multiple times. He spelled it wrong once and then copy-pasted that error throughout the entire document. That's not even lazy, that's impressively consistent laziness. The word strength appears twice in the same list. Athletes were tested in strength, RFD, strength, power. My man really said strength so nice, he named it twice.
Perhaps the most common mechanical failure in the thesis is Mike's inability or refusal to press the spacebar. Missing spaces between words and after punctuation are so frequent, it's as if the spacebar was rationed. They're everywhere, and by the time you encounter the 100th instance, you're no longer wondering how they slipped through. You're wondering if Mike's keyboard was partially submerged in cement.
I'm fucking dying at this. Mike's keyboard was submerged in cement. That's the only explanation for how many times he just didn't use the spacebar. It's like he was charged per space and decided to save money. This happens hundreds of times. Not once or twice, not a handful of mistakes, hundreds. How do you proofread this and not notice that half your sentences look like one long German compound word? The best part? He managed to graduate with this. Someone looked at a document where the spacebar appeared to be optional and said, yes, this is doctorate level work.
I'm both on a raw IQ scale smarter than almost every coach, maybe every coach. And I know more about physiology, body responses, etc. than they do.
You've never met anyone with as much willpower as me. And whatever it is you think you're good at in your life, I'd probably take about a year and become an authority in the field in which you think you're good.
And also in every category of human behavior, I'm tougher than you. I can train closer to failure than you. I can do it for longer. I have more willpower than you. I'm funnier than you. I'm smarter than you. And I'm better at being a than you.
So if you talk to me about anything with resistance training and hypertrophy, yes, I consider myself to be one of the world's preeminent experts on all of that, especially in its application and interaction with science. I make no excuses for that. I will debate anyone in the world about that. That's easy.
I haven't met a whole lot of people in the bodybuilding industry with whose raw intellect I was blown away.
You are presuming you know more than me about the thing I'm one of the top experts in the world in, and also the thing I'm literally involved in myself. So whatever ideas you have about how I can improve, just right off.
Because I've taken enough IQ tests, and you can only write so many books and be on so many podcasts until people are like, you're pretty smart. I've taken the Raven's Advanced Progressive Matrices test, and I pegged at scale high. So you get every single question right. And so my IQ is above 160. We don't know how high because they don't do standardized IQ tests above that. You do that enough times, enough PhD programs, enough book, enough teaching awards, enough authorships, enough all the stuff, enough millions and app designs and all the stuff, and dealing with otherwise really smart people, and they walk away being like, that guy's real smart.
I'm bigger and stronger than Mike Mentzer. That's it. Yeah. So all of a sudden, that changes the game. I'm more educated than Mike Mentzer. I know more things than Mike Mentzer.
I have very elite genetics, not swagger. It's just stating a fact.
There's a very high probability that I'm much better at making fun of people than you are. As a matter of fact, I can sit face to face with you and slam dunk on your entire life. It'd just be real bad news. Things I wouldn't even feel comfortable saying that are just true about you.
Because the amount of just backslapping intellectual just overkill I can push onto them, they just have no idea how far afield they are of their abilities.
I'll just settle for being a, jiu-jitsu killer, famous millionaire.
Am I a perfectionist asshole with a PhD? Yeah, hell yeah. That's why I say like that.
People are like, it's like, what do girls like in a guy? And a ton of girls, as well as a ton of older people, would say intelligence. That's the biggest lie I've ever been told in my life. What? Nobody out here likes intelligence? What, are you kidding me? Like, if girls liked intelligence, I'd be swimming in that shit from day one. I've never met a single girl who I was convinced was actually attracted to intelligence.
Okay, so this is my favorite part of the whole thing. Solomon just lets Mike's own words do the damage. I'm smarter than almost every coach, maybe every coach. I have more willpower than anyone you've ever met. Give me 1 year and I'll become an authority in whatever field you're good at. My IQ is above 160. Brother, your PhD thesis had athletes who were negative years old. Your research discovered that strong people are strong. Your spacebar was apparently optional. Maybe dial back the genius claims just a little. The confidence is incredible though, truly incredible. To have a dissertation this sloppy and still tell everyone you're the smartest person in every room is a level of self-delusion I genuinely admire. I'm a perfectionist with a PhD, Mike. Your thesis spelled science as sense. Multiple times. That's not perfectionism, that's what happens when autocorrect gives up on you.
On the next line, Mike writes Mizuguchi for as one word. Mike then thanks his friends for tolerating his attitude on his so-called low-carb dissertation writing days. Judging by both the content of the dissertation as well as his physique at the time it was written, one might reasonably infer that such days were few and far between.
And holy shit! Solomon really looked at Mike's thesis, looked at photos of Mike from 2013, and said, yeah, this man was not restricting carbs. That's not even about the academic work anymore. That's just a straight body shot. That's a drive-by roasting. That's, by the way, you were also fat, buried in the middle of an academic critique. And he's right. Mike blames his terrible thesis on being low-carb while writing it, but both the thesis and his physique suggest that actually he was eating pretty well during that time. You can't blame your sloppy work on diet discipline when the evidence suggests there was no diet discipline happening there.
When examined closely, Mike hasn't demonstrated mastery even in his own domain, let alone anyone else's.
And that's the whole point right there. Mike has spent years using this PhD as a weapon. I have a PhD, so I'm right and you're wrong. I'm Dr. Mike. Trust the science while pointing at his credentials. And now we find out that PhD is held together with copy-paste, impossible statistics, and a spacebar that took extended vacations throughout the writing process. This isn't just, oh, he made some mistakes. This is a systematic failure at every level. Research design, data handling, writing, editing, citations, formatting, there's not a single aspect of this thesis that meets basic academic standards. And the wildest part, he got away with it for over a decade. He built an entire career on this, multi-million-dollar business, hundreds of thousands of followers, all while using a PhD that any competent university would have rejected. So what do we learn today? A few things. One, not all PhDs are created equal. Some represent legitimate expertise. Others represent, we were tired of this guy being here, so we let him graduate. Two, when someone constantly tells you how smart they are, maybe check their work before you believe him. Mike told everyone he was a genius while submitting a thesis with fetuses competing in college sports. Three, the fitness industry desperately needs higher standards. Mike's not unique. He's just the one who got caught. How many other influencers have questionable credentials that nobody's actually verified? And four, I spent way too much time making this video about a PhD thesis from 2013, which says something about both me and all of you for watching it. But hey, views are views, and you keep clicking, so here we are, living the dream, making content about fitness YouTube drama instead of actually making fitness content. Do I feel dirty? A little. Am I gonna do it again if the next drama drops? Absolutely. Now stop watching me roast Mike's decade-old academic work and go do literally anything productive with your life. Or don't. I'm not your dad. I'm Zerk, and I'll see you in the next one where hopefully we can talk about actual training instead of whatever this has become. Peace out.